In the boundless vastness of our Imperium's history, nestled amidst tales of heroism, betrayal and endurance, the saga of the Blood Angels stands as a monumental testament to the greatness and the tragedy humanity can achieve. As we embark on this chronicle of the 9th Legion of the Adeptus Astartes, it is crucial to approach their story with reverence and understanding, befitting their noble lineage and the burdens they bear. From the gleaming spires of their homeworld, Baal, the Blood Angels have long been paragons of beauty and artistry, warriors whose martial prowess is matched only by their appreciation for the finest nuances of craftsmanship and culture. Their striking red armor has become synonymous with deeds of valor, their angelic winged motifs, a symbol of hope amidst the grim darkness of the far future. Yet intertwined with this greatness is a story of duality and struggle. The same gene seed that binds them to their primarch, the noble Sanguinius, also carries a dark and tumultuous legacy. This dichotomy, this balance between the sublime and the visceral, is a thread that runs deep within the very fabric of the Blood Angels, making their narrative all the more compelling and poignant. As we delve into the annals of their existence, we shall traverse a path paved with glory, shadowed by sorrow, and illuminated by the spirit of the Blood Angels. Prepare to be taken on a journey that spans the birth of a legion, the heroism of a primarch, the tragedy of internecine warfare, and the ongoing battle against darkness that lurks within. So let us embark on this odyssey, seeking to understand, appreciate, and marvel at one of the most storied chapters in the annals of the Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels. The epoch before the galaxy was set alight by the Great Crusade was a time of shaping and forging. In his boundless wisdom, the Emperor created the legions to spearhead his ambitious campaign to unite humanity. Each legion was crafted with purpose, with a distinct nature that would echo throughout time. Among these early legions, the one that would come to be known as the Blood Angels began their journey as the Revenants, the 9th Legion. The term Revenant carries weight. Derived from old Terran tongues, it implies one who has returned, especially from the dead. Even in its earliest connotation, this title hinted at a duality, a struggle between life, death, and rebirth. In their early days, the Revenants were noted for their unparalleled martial grace, a deadly ballet on the battlefield that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Each warrior moved with a fluidity and precision that made them seem otherworldly, phantasmal even. Unlike the deep crimson we associate with the Blood Angels of today, their armor was said to be of muted shades, resembling twilight and the ephemeral realm between waking and dream. But even in these formative times, there were whispers of a deep-seated rage, a hunger gnawed at these warriors' very soul. They would grapple with a flaw, or perhaps a trial, throughout their existence. While many legions had their quirks and distinct characteristics, the 9th Legion bore a secret that they guarded fiercely. Amongst their ranks, a gnawing urge began to manifest, a compulsion not just for battle, but for something far more primal. This hunger was not merely metaphorical. It was a visceral need to consume the very essence of life, the flesh and blood of the fallen. This affliction, often whispered about as the Red Thirst, was a source of great shame and concern for the Legion. They who were heralded as the embodiment of nobility and grace were also haunted by an insatiable craving, one that seemed to challenge the ideals they upheld. This thirst's exact origin remains a speculation topic, even among us scholars. Some posit that it is a flaw inherent in their gene seed, a blemish that surfaced amidst the rigors of the Great Crusade. Others theorize that it might have been a byproduct of some forgotten conflict or encounter, an echo of a traumatic event that left an indelible mark upon their collective psyche. Sanguinius, their beloved primarch, was all too aware of this burgeoning darkness within his sons. His heart, heavy with the weight of their affliction, he sought ways to guide and aid them, to temper the thirst that threatened to consume their honor. But like all deep-rooted maladies, solutions were elusive, and the battle against the Red Thirst would become an enduring saga for the Blood Angels. Through Sanguinius, they learned that true strength could be found not just in the ability to conquer, but in the capacity to safeguard, to inspire. The Blood Angels, as they would henceforth be known, became symbols of sacrifice, and protectors of the innocent. Their valor was tempered by newfound compassion, their strategies colored by a fervent desire to shield humanity from the horrors that lurked amidst the stars. Their warfare was not merely a conflict, it was a salvation, a bloody redemption wrought upon the enemies of mankind. Witness then the transformation of their reputation. The warriors who were once regarded with fear and a measure of trepidation were now seen as saviors in crimson, as angels who bore the light of the Emperor's dream into the dark recesses of the galaxy, along with Horus's battle companies, the angels. In the shadow of their wings, worlds found hope, and humanity found protection in the might of their arms. It was said that to see a blood angel was to see the Emperor's vision manifest, and to fight beside one was to be part of a nobler, transcendent conflict. In the veins of the blood angels flowed not merely the genetic legacy of their Primarch, but the essence of his spirit, indomitable will, and unyielding compassion. This connection bound them, molded them, and in the crucible of war they were not merely warriors. They were avatars of a brighter future promised under the Imperium's aegis. It is crucial, venerable seekers, to recognize the profound impact of Sanguinius upon the Ninth Legion. He did not merely alter their tactics or enhance their martial prowess. He reshaped their soul, guiding them to become symbols of something far more significant than mere conquest. In becoming the Blood Angels, they embodied a paradox: the warrior who is also a guardian, the bringer of death who is also a savior. A darkening galaxy, where the luminosity of brotherhood and unity, once the cornerstone of the Great Crusade, crumbles under the terrible weight of betrayal. The venerable Ninth Legion, renowned across the stars as paragons of virtue and guardians of the imperial truth, now entangled in a web of deceit and malevolence, masterminded by the arch-traitor, Horus Lupercal. Sanguinius and his noble sons were dispatched to the Cygnus cluster, entrusted with a mission of utmost import, or so it seemed. They believed that they were to extinguish a dire threat to the Imperium, a nexus of chaotic corruption. With wings and bolters they soared into the dark, unaware that they flew not towards mere physical adversaries, but into a trap meticulously crafted to prey upon their very essence. The worlds of the Cygnus cluster were enveloped in a miasma of darkness, a horror that permeated every rock and shadow, as the demons of the warp, malevolent entities of purest evil, awaited with bated, fetid breath. The noble blood angels, ever the champions of mankind, met these unspeakable horrors with bolter and blade, yet they were unprepared for the shadow that sought to smother their very souls. Sanguinius, the beacon of hope and nobility, faced an adversary that mirrored the darkest aspects of his own being, a demon whose malevolence sought to erode the Primarch's indomitable spirit and unyielding resolve. On the ravaged fields of Cygnus Prime, the Blood Angels encountered not merely the external enemy, but were forced to wrestle with their own nascent darkness, a thirst and rage that lurked within the very fiber of their genetic legacy. The red sands of Cygnus drank deeply of both angelic and demonic blood, as a struggle of both physical and metaphysical nature ensued. Sanguinius, resolute despite the shadows that clawed at his soul, faced his nemesis in a confrontation that transcended mere battle, becoming a symbolic clash of hope against despair, purity against corruption. In the epicenter of this horrific maelstrom, the Blood Angels faced their own nature, the underlying thirst for blood, and the berserk rage that had always lingered in their gene seed, now brought to the fore by the dark entities they faced. It was a trial by fire, a bitter conflict that saw brother fighting brother amidst a tempest of psychic screams and demonic savagery. The Cygnus campaign, as it will be forever known, did not merely test the martial might of the Blood Angels, it forced them to gaze into the abyss of their own potential for darkness. Yet even as some succumbed, even as Sanguinius himself teetered on the brink, the Blood Angels endured. With a heroic, albeit terrible victory, they expelled the demonic presence from the cluster, though the scars of the encounter would linger, forever marring their psychic and genetic lineage. The tempest of this rebellion against the Emperor and Terror stretched across the galaxy, tearing asunder brothers, legions, and worlds in a maelstrom of treachery and violence. In particular, our focus will be drawn to the Blood Angels and their pivotal role during the Siege of Terror, often forgotten and overlooked for their defense of our home. The Blood Angels, led by their beloved Primarch Sanguinius, stood as a beacon of nobility and sacrifice, amidst the carnage of that dark time. When the traitorous Warmaster Horus laid siege to Terra, Sanguinius and his Blood Angels remained ever stalwart in defense of the throne world, withstanding the tempest of chaos that threatened to engulf them. Terra, our cradle of humanity and seat of the Emperor's power, came under the shadow of the traitor legions. The skies darkened with the smoke of burning cities, and the earth trembled beneath the tread of infernal war machines. The siege of Terra, that apocalyptic confrontation between loyalist and traitor, was the crucible in which the destiny of humanity was to be forged. The defenses of the imperial palace were tested to their limits. Endless hordes of heretics, twisted demons, and corrupted Astartes battered against its walls, determined to extinguish the light of the Emperor. The Blood Angels held the line, their crimson armor stained with the ichor of friend and foe, as they fought to protect the very heart of humanity. In those dark days, Sanguinius emerged as a figure of salvation and poignant tragedy. His noble visage, framed by alabaster wings, became synonymous with the sacrifices of the loyalist cause, embodying the bittersweet union of hope and despair. As the siege reached its crescendo, with the very fate of humanity hanging by a tenuous thread, the Blood Angels and their Primarch were faced with unimaginable horrors and choices that would echo through eternity. In the epochs that have unfolded since the dark days of the Horus heresy, the sons of Sanguinius have woven a path of both valor and anguish, inscribing their deeds in the annals of the Imperium with blood and honor. In these contemporary times, where the abyss gazes ever inwards towards our bastion of humanity, the Blood Angels, along with their successor chapters, stand as a crimson shield against the multifaceted onslaught that seeks our annihilation. The chapter finds itself perpetually embattled, its warriors ever engaged across myriad war zones, from the ghastly charnels of the warp-riven cicatrix maledictum to the embattled frontiers of the outer dark. Their foes are legion, ranging from the demonic and heretical to the Xenos and the damned. Yet amidst this eternal conflict, the sons of the angel persist, their martial prowess undimmed, their resolve unshattered. The present-day imperatives of the Blood Angels have seen them engaged in a ceaseless war of survival, their martial might dispatched to the furthest reaches of the Imperium, wherever their bloody talents may hold back the night. Their engagements have been as varied as they have been brutal, from the defense of Baal, their homeworld, against the innumerable horrors of Hive Fleet Leviathan, to their struggles against the traitorous forces of chaos in the warp-torn sectors of the galaxy. The Blood Angels endure despite the darkness that persists both without and within. They navigate through an era where the galaxy is riven in twain and the light of the Astronomicon flickers precariously amidst an ocean of encroaching chaos. Their deeds were written with the blood of both foe and brother. In the stark, radiation-ravaged expanses of Baal Secundus, amid windswept dunes and perilous crags, the story commences with a ritual of blood and fire. Every native youth, indelibly marked by the harsh kiss of their lethal environs, yearns for the divine honor to transcend their mortal confines and ascend into the mythical ranks of the Blood Angels. When the time comes, and the roving nomadic tribes gather amidst the blighted wastes, the sanguinary priests descend from the heavens in their resplendent glory to behold the aspirants, youths, warriors, and hopeful kin, who would vie for a place amongst the stars. The trials that await these aspirants are grueling in both physical and spiritual domains, a merciless culling that ensures only the strongest, most resilient souls are welcomed into the fold. The place of challenge, situated beneath the ever-watchful gaze of the angelic statue of Sanguinius, as savage tribes gather in a frenzied spectacle of hope and desperate ambition. Here, beneath wings of stone, tribal youths, branded by the scars of their brutal existence, embark upon the time of challenge, their first step towards potential transcendence. A treacherous journey through hostile deserts, teeming with venomous creatures and concealed perils, lays before these aspirants. This crucible not only their physical might, but also their cunning, determination, and the unspoken, yet intrinsic qualities befitting a son of Sanguinius. As they navigate the perils of the Rad Desert, confronting predatory abominations and their own innate fears, a mere fraction emerges triumphant, tempered by their ordeal, and thus are deemed worthy of ascension. Upon finishing their journey, the aspirants fight in groups and duels. Oftentimes death is the outcome or maiming. Competition is fierce, but those victorious get to attend the procession to the home of the Blood Angels. As these victorious aspirants ascend to the fortress monastery on celestial Baal, they are stripped of their tribal identities and reborn into a realm of majesty and sacred duty. Within the marbled and hallowed halls, they witness, perhaps for the first time, a world beyond their desolate origins and come face to face with their potential future selves, the ethereal and formidable Blood Angels. Inside the exalted Great Chapel, these fledgling warriors willingly imbibe from the Sanguinary Chalice, a sacrament laden with the spiritual and biological essence of their venerated Primarch. As the vitae mingles with their own, they are cast into a sanctified slumber, entwining their destinies with that of Sanguinius, as they are subsumed by visions both divine and tormenting. Within the gilded sarcophagi of the hall, their mortal forms are reshaped, and reborn as the gene seed of their celestial forebearer mingles and reconstructs their very essence. Many will not survive this metamorphosis, their mortal coils unwilling or unable to contain the divine and potent legacy of the Primarch. Yet those who endure emerge reborn, ascended beings of might and tragic beauty, echoes of Sanguinius himself imprinted upon their very souls. Henceforth, as neophytes, their journey unfolds, shadowed perpetually by the twin spectres of boundless virtue and cursed damnation. As they tread the path of the Astartes, they must navigate the labyrinthine complexities of their inherited legacies, the divine wisdom and martial prowess of their Primarch, forever shadowed by the insidious tendrils of the Black Rage and Red Thirst. The organization of the Blood Angels adheres to a sacred and rigorously defined order, ensuring not only tactical and strategic prowess, but also the preservation and veneration of their rich lineage and the delicate management of their genetic curses. In our chronicles and data tapestries, the Blood Angels appear not merely as warriors, but as a kind of celestial hierarchy, each echelon pulsing with both martial and spiritual resonance. A grand orchestration of martial might and organizational precision that has eternally shone as a beacon across the millennia of conflict that define our Imperium. The Blood Angels, ever since their paradigmatic reformation following the cataclysmic Horus heresy, have sought an equilibrium, a reconciliation between the disciplined structure bestowed by the Codex Astartes and the pulsating crimson spectre of their own genetic curse. The elegant yet potent organization of this venerable chapter is as multifaceted and nuanced as the tales that have been woven about them. Each of their 1,000 warriors, champions in their own right, are systematically organized into a decagon of companies, each a unique entity, a particular facet in the dazzling array of the Blood Angels' military potency. First among these, the esteemed First Company cradles the most sagacious and battle-hardened of their kin, the revered veterans. Their deeds echo immortal through the annals of time, their actions a ceaseless source of inspiration to their brethren, and a relentless tide of despair for their foes. The subsequent battle companies, from the 2nd to the 5th, form the steadfast and versatile core of the chapter, exemplifying the apex of Astartes' tactical and strategic prowess across the myriad theatres of war that bespeckle our beleaguered Imperium. Yet, the resonance of the Blood Angels' organizational harmony is not merely confined to their veteran and battle brethren. The 6th and 7th, the reserve companies, stand ready to fortify their brothers on the front, a bulwark of stability and reinforcement. Moreover, the 8th and 9th companies, specialists of the assault and the devastating art of ranged destruction respectively, bring with them the capability to unleash singularly focused torrents of wrath upon the enemies of mankind. And let us not forget the 10th, a company of paramount importance, the crucible wherein the future of the chapter is ceaselessly forged. The scouts of this company, warriors yet to be fully molded into the paradigms of the Astartes, embody the future, a promise of continuity amidst a sea of perpetual chaotic conflict. The chariots and machinery of war, crafted and sanctified by the chapter's artificers, stand as a testament to the martial might of the Blood Angels and their capacity for innovation and adaptation. From their modified rhinos, which roar with enhanced yet capricious vigor across the battlefield, to the mighty Baal Predators and venerable Furioso Dreadnoughts, each mechanized entity reflects a piece of the chapter's soul, resplendent, yet invariably touched by an undercurrent of torment and volatility. The noble warrior ethos of the Blood Angels, the Sanguinary Priesthood and the Reclusium, conduits of spiritual and biological fortitude, intertwine with the chapter command, fostering a unity that transcends mere governance and permeates into the spiritual and existential continuance of the chapter, safeguarding it from its own intrinsic shadows. We now enter the spheres of the company command, where the martial skill of the Blood Angels is woven into tales of blood and triumph across the stars. The captains, beings of impeccable military and strategic brilliance, epitomize the unyielding and virtuous spirit of the chapter, leading their kin through epochs of war and tranquility alike. Their prowess, cascading through centuries of relentless warfare, kindles the paths upon which their brethren tread, ever inspiring and ever vigilant. Anointed as Warden of the Blood and Sword of Sanguinius, lieutenants embody the dual nature inherent within the Blood Angels, a serene, strategic mastery and a fervent, relentless might. They are the extension of their captain's will, executing with ruthless efficiency and valor, ensuring that the sanguine brilliance of their chapter forever sears across the battlefields of the cosmos. Company veterans and ancients, venerable warriors are entrusted with the chapter's physical and metaphysical armaments. Often centuries old, veterans are the repositories of combative mastery and strategic comprehension. At the same time, the ancients bear not just the company's banners, but their brethren's soul and storied history into battle, an inspiration and spiritual lodestone amidst the tempest of conflict. The company champions, paragons of martial excellence and singular combat prowess, stride forth to meet the enemy's mightiest, safeguarding the company's honor with every heartbeat and every stroke of their sanctified blades. In this delicate and balanced structure, the Blood Angels stand noble scholars, luminous and formidable, command a symbiotic entity of martial and spiritual leadership, ensuring their survival and incandescent legacy amidst an ever-darkening galaxy. Chief among all those, however, is Sanguinus's metaphorical heir, the chapter master of the Blood Angels, Dante. With deliberate and potent authority, the chapter master of the Blood Angels presides, an individual of formidable martial capability, sagacious leadership, and spiritual depth. The tapestry of his command is interwoven with the knowledge and experience of his council, comprising brother captains and venerable officers, often bearing the scars and tales from epochs of warfare, yet whose acumen in strategy and governance prevails. Within the veiled corridors of their authority, the chapter master and his council, with bestowed responsibilities from Robute Guilliman himself, provide a beacon and bastion within the chaos-entrenched domain of Imperium Nihilus. His reign stretches not merely across their own chapter, but casts a guiding light and an unyielding shield across the teetering realms of humanity therein. Commander Dante, born Luis Dante, is a true paragon amidst the ceaseless turmoil that engulfs our beleaguered domains. A warrior, his essence forever intertwined with the heritage of the venerable Sanguinius, bearing not only the physical manifestation of his sacred lineage through the gilded death mask of Sanguinius, but embodying the very ethos that has, for centuries, been a harbinger of doom to those who would dare stand against the Emperor's divine ordinance. Over a millennium, Dante has commanded the heralded Blood Angels, his existence a living testament to the benevolence of the Emperor and the immortal vitality of his cherished Primarch. Within his venerable being resides a warrior spirit that has witnessed the unspeakable darkness that perpetually seeks to engulf our cherished humanity, confronting the nefarious alien, the despicable heretic, and the vile mutant with a resolute will that has never wavered, even amidst the darkest of epochs. Commander Dante, bear in mind, noble listeners, has not only waged battle against the tangible foes that beset our realms, but has perpetually combated the internal shadows that linger within the very genetic tapestry of his being, a testament to his indomitable will and an embodiment of his unyielding fidelity to our sacred Imperium. In the wake of the ravenous assault upon Baal by the loathsome tyrannid Hive Fleet Leviathan, and amidst the myriad conflicts that perpetually besiege our domains, Dante's valor and unyielding resolve were recognized by no less a figure than the Primarch Robute Guilliman, Lord Commander of the Imperium. Entrusted with the monumental task of safeguarding the Imperium Nihilus, Dante became the Lord Regent, a beacon of strength amidst a domain cast beneath the oppressive shadow of the Great Rift. In a recent epoch, a feat most extraordinary marks yet another chapter in Dante's illustrious tale. the arduous transition through the Rubicon Primaris. Akin to his initial transformation into the Astartes, Dante, despite the ravages of age, embraced the agonizing crucible to emerge reborn, not merely in stature and might, but as a symbol that even amidst the relentless passage of time, the will of a faithful servant of the Emperor shall not falter. Sitting beneath and serving at the pleasure of the chapter master, there sits a mantle of inspiration and solemnity. In immeasurable epochs, the Sanguinary Guard held a legacy that shimmered with the effulgent aura of their fallen Primarch, Sanguinius, yet bore the inexorable weight of both adulation and sorrow. In their golden armor, sculpted with the echo of angelic wings, we perceive not merely the physical representation of war in its most celestial form, but a mirror reflecting the undying nobility and tragic loss of the Blood Angels. These guardians, these ethereal warriors, do not merely stand as the elite of the Blood Angels, but serve as eternal symbols of Sanguinius's sacrifice, his boundless love for his sons, and his unyielding loyalty to the Emperor. Within them, the dichotomy of angelic grace and the visceral savagery of warfare coalesces, crafting a tale of sublime paradox, where beauty and horror intertwine in an unending spiral. Let us momentarily linger upon their armaments, the glaives in carmine, weapons steeped in the sacred and potent. They are more than mere tools of death, for within each curve, each edge, resonates the silent chorus of martyrs and heroes long past. A Sanguinary Guard does not merely wield a weapon, but clasps hands with the spirits of progenitors, guiding their strikes, lending ethereal strength to their endeavors. Their masks, dear compatriots, are not mere protectives or expressions of martial utility. They are the visages of the sorrowful angel, Sanguinius, an ever-present reminder to both the wearer and the observer of the Primarch's eternal watchfulness, pain, sacrifice, and undying love. A battlefield upon which the Sanguinary Guard wage war is thus sanctified by the spectral gaze of the beloved Primarch, offering solace amidst the tumult and unbridled carnage. Amidst the blackest tempest of the galaxy's despair, the Sanguinary Guard serve not merely as the Blood Angels' martial pinnacle, but as the spiritual epitome of their eternal battle against the darkness within and without. They are the luminous flame amidst the abyss, the unwavering shield against the terrors of the night, and the undying testament to the love and loss forever entwined within the hearts of Sanguinius's sons. Where the Sanguinary may be the resplendent valor of the Blood Angels, then the Death Company is its perpetual anguish. The Death Company is not simply a martial formation, but a spectral echo of a tragedy that eternally haunts the chapter, a macabre assembly of warriors irrevocably claimed by the Black Rage. This genetic curse thrusts them into the cataclysmic moment of their Primarch Sanguinius's demise. When a Blood Angel succumbs to the Black Rage, he is forever altered. His mind becomes a battleground where he relives the final cataclysmic moments of Sanguinius, facing the treachery and ultimate death at the hands of the arch-traitor Horus. This haunting psychic echo pervades the warrior's being, rendering him a creature of unbridled fury and despair, fighting a battle eons past, yet vividly present within his psyche. The warriors of the Death Company are marked by their ebon armor, starkly contrasted by the crimson X that adorns their battle plate, signifying their tragic fate and eternal struggle. Their eyes, a window into the tempest within, burn with the fires of anguish and rage. In battle, the Death Company is unleashed as a tempest of vengeful retribution. They do not merely fight, they exist in a perpetual state of war, both within and without. Their actions on the battlefield are tangible manifestation of their internal torment. Guided by the spiritual and martial leaders of the chapter, the chaplains, they are directed like a spear towards the heart of the enemy, where they can unleash their anguish and wrath upon those who stand against them. Despite their fearsome presence and undeniable potency in the theatre of war, the tale of the Death Company is one of profound sorrow. For to become a part of this cursed brotherhood is to be lost to one's brethren, to be forever trapped in a moment of ultimate betrayal and loss, and to seek redemption and release in the fiery cauldron of battle and death. From our ancient tomes and scriptures, shrouded in allegory, and oft whispered in hushed reverence amongst our brethren, we unveil the melancholic veil that has persistently shrouded the sons of Sanguinius since the calamity that transpired during those forsaken days of betrayal and despair. The Black Rage is not merely a malaise, nor can it be simply ascribed as a malformation of their genetic inheritance. At its core, it is a psychological and spiritual affliction. Imagine being endlessly ensnared within the darkest moment of one's lineage, to relive a demise not of your own, perpetually yet intrinsically bound to your very essence. Astartes afflicted by the Black Rage are caught in this inexorable vortex, perceiving themselves as their lamented Primarch in the culminating moments of his existence, engulfed by rage, sorrow, and a daunting sense of impending doom. Though outwardly they may appear as the vibrant paragons of the Emperor's wrath, within they are inexorably intertwined with Sanguinius's anguish during his final confrontation with the arch-traitor, Horus. The afflicted battle not only the tangible foes before them, but are ceaselessly locked in internal combat against phantoms of bygone heresy. And yet, this debilitating curse emanates a tragic might, an unrestrained ferocity and dauntlessness that sees the afflicted become the vanguards of death upon the battlefield. The Blood Angels, ever stoic, have conceived a method to channel this feral might, where it may serve the Imperium's cause. Those suffering from the Black Rage are inducted into the Death Company, black-armored reapers guided by the chaplains into the heart of battle, where they might find a semblance of peace through noble death in service to the Emperor. In war, the Blood Angels are both poets and savages, their combat doctrine reflecting a harmonious blend of disciplined military strategy and a bloodthirsty desire to meet their foes in close quarters, where they may unleash the fervor and anguish that perpetually simmers beneath their demure veneer. Here, in the juxtaposition of disciplined flight and unbridled descent, we unearth the roots of their combat doctrine. Envision a battlefield upon which the Blood Angels descend, resplendent warriors, haloed by the light of distant stars. Their approach is akin to a meticulously crafted ballet, a serene, elegant descent that belies the carnage to follow. Their strategy is often characterized by rapid, decisive assaults, utilizing their mastery of aerial warfare to deploy their forces where they will strike with both precision and overwhelming force. Once upon the field of battle, the Blood Angels demonstrate a profound mastery of combined arms warfare, their various squads and companies interweaving in a confluence of devastating melee combat and precise ranged onslaughts. Yet, it is in the crucible of close combat that the Blood Angels reveal the depths of their celestial fury and nascent despair. Through the glorious charge and visceral melee, they seek both to annihilate their foes and to excise their own inner turmoil. In battle, they tread upon the razor's edge, balancing between martial perfection and the abyss of frenzied obliteration. Sanguinary priests, their sacred apothecaries, navigate through this sanguine ballet, guiding their brothers with both their biomedical expertise and spiritual leadership, ensuring the sanctity of their gene seed and mitigating the spiritual corrosion wrought by the flaw. We begin, as all tales of war inevitably do, upon the battlefield, now awash with the terrible yet awe-inspiring spectacle of war. From the heavens above, a cascade of crimson and gold descends, the sons of Sanguinius, like avenging angels, enveloping the land with their majestic yet foreboding presence. This spectacle, dear attendees, encapsulates the quintessential essence of the Blood Angels in battle, an immaculate convergence of beauty and devastation. In combat, the Blood Angels exhibit a peculiar amalgamation of impeccable discipline and a scarcely restrained savagery. Their assaults are calculated, executed with a precision and coordination that bespeak an adherence to and a profound understanding of strategic and tactical principles. From the tactical Marines, who form the indomitable backbone of their formations, to the noble and elite Sanguinary Guard, every brother knows his place within the grand orchestration of war. Each strike is both an act of divine retribution and a heart-rending scream against the dark fate that besets them. It is within this melee, where chain swords sing and blood is spilt, that the Blood Angels find a semblance of catharsis and yet are ever tantalized by the sanguinary demise that seeks to envelop them. The culture of the Blood Angels and their successor chapters is one of noble sacrifice, martial excellence, and an eternal lament for a paradise lost. My esteemed guests envisage a world where beauty and tragedy exist in a perpetual embrace. The Blood Angels are artisans, warriors, and philosophers, each brother imbued with a deeply seated appreciation for aesthetics and a boundless capacity for sorrow. mourning the loss of their beloved Primarch, Sanguinius, and the dark shadow that his death casts upon their souls. Their fortress monastery and the Tower of Amareo is not merely a militaristic stronghold, but also a sanctum of artistry and reflection. Its hallowed halls adorned with magnificent statuary and soul-stirring murals, embodying their perpetual quest for beauty amidst the darkness of their curse and the horrors of the galaxy. Their belief system, firmly entrenched in the tragic demise of their angelic Primarch, is a death cult, punctuated by a fervent adoration of Sanguini's memory and an ever-present dread of the Black Rage, a manifestation of the psychic imprint of Sanguinius's final tumultuous moments. The Sanguinor, an enigmatic figure shrouded in myth and mystery, occupies a sanctified place within their beliefs. Seen as a manifestation of their Primarch's immortal spirit, the Sanguinor is both guardian and avenger, emerging from the shadows of legend to lend his strength in moments of dire peril. His appearances are rare, ephemeral, yet indelibly marked upon the annals of the chapter's storied history. In contemplating the Blood Angels, one must acknowledge the inherent paradox that defines them. They are warriors of light shadowed by darkness, entities of serene melancholy and visceral rage. Their artistry, expressed both upon the canvas and the battlefield, is a poignant tribute to their enduring nobility and the ever-present spectre of their damnation. A chapter revered and lamented in equal measure, standing amidst the ruins of their ravaged homeworld, Baal. The devastation had wrought upon them a perilous toll, leaving them beleaguered yet unbroken, their spirit ignited by the immortal flame of Sanguinius's legacy. Their numbers were severely diminished, and their resolve tested by the unyielding tide of the Tyrannid menace. In this dark epoch, Archmagos Belisarius Call, with the blessing of the resurrected Primarch Rabut Guilliman, unveiled his magnum opus, the Primaris Space Marines, warriors of superlative gene-forged might, and stoic temperaments conceived in secret during 10 millennia of meticulous toil and unprecedented scientific mastery. How, then, might such beings offer salvation to a chapter perpetually besieged by the spectral claws of the Black Rage? For the Blood Angels, the Black Rage has eternally represented their most profound dread and their most poignant curse. Those ensnared by its dark tendrils are confronted by the anguished final moments of their beloved Primarch, their minds and souls inexorably drawn into the maelstrom of his deathly echoes. The Primaris Marines, through the ingenuity of Archmagos Caul, bear a gene seed refined and stabilized, yet not wholly divorced from the lineage from whence it was wrought. Their physical and psychic fortitude is unparalleled, yet not infallible. The Blood Angels and their Primaris kin found themselves upon the precipice of hope and apprehension, pondering the veritable blessing of these new brethren and the hidden perils that may yet lie entwined within their genetic legacy. It was observed, with cautious optimism, that the Primaris Marines demonstrated a remarkable resistance to the curses that have long plagued Sanguinius's descendants. Few among the Primaris have succumbed to the Black Rage, their minds seemingly fortified against its insidious whisper. Is it possible that through the Primaris, the shadows that have long cast a pallor over the Blood Angels may finally be illuminated by dawn's eternal light? Yet, noble scholars, we must ponder the philosophical implications that this alteration of their genetic legacy might encompass. Does the alleviation of the Black Rage signify a deviation from the spiritual path that the Blood Angels have tread since Sanguinius's lamentable demise? Might the tempering of their genetic curse sever the profound, sorrowful connection they bear to their lost Primarch? The dialogue between genetic purity, spiritual authenticity, and existential necessity is fraught with moral and ethical quandaries, questions that continue to resonate within the echoing halls of our own introspections. Of course, with the Imperium split, it lies upon the leadership of the Blood Angels and Dante to lead Imperial Nihilists from the darkness with their new potent Primaris brothers. For once, perhaps, their future may remain bright. Noble scholars, venerable scribes, and esteemed guests of our sanctified halls, as we bring our journey exploring the ethereal tales and melancholic chronicles of the Blood Angels to its poignant closure, I invite you to ruminate with reverence upon the multifaceted saga we have traversed together within these hallowed walls of the Library Sanctus. In the noble and anguished narrative of the Blood Angels, we have witnessed both the pinnacle of transcendent valor and the abyssal depths of sorrow and rage, interwoven seamlessly in a tapestry that spans the epochs of our venerable Imperium. Their saga, embellished with heroic deeds, tragic sacrifices, and undying loyalty to the throne, mirrors the eternal struggle against dissolution that pulsates at the very core of our boundless dominion. The sons of Sanguinius, bearers of a tragic yet profoundly noble legacy, dance eternally upon the knife's edge between radiant divinity and abysmal damnation. In their unyielding service and unfathomable sacrifice, they epitomize the paradox of our great Imperium, a dazzling beacon of hope enshrouded by all-encompassing darkness. Within their veins pulsates not only the lifeblood of their martyred Primarch, but also the unbreakable spirit of humanity itself, ever defiant against the encroaching void. Their ceaseless battle, both against the tangible enemies of man and the spectral foes lurking within their very essence, manifests as a microcosm of our collective struggle, encapsulating the eternal battle we, as children of the Imperium, wage against the insidious shadows that perpetually seek to engulf our luminous civilization. As we part ways and you venture forth from our consecrated archive, may you carry with you not merely the tales of valor and sacrifice, but also the intrinsic understanding that our very existence, our unyielding stand against the voracious maw of oblivion, is perpetuated by the countless sacrifices of such noble souls as the Blood Angels. With hearts aglow with the undying flame of humanity's spirit, we part. May the Emperor safeguard your souls and guide your journey through the infinite expanse of knowledge and into the abyssal realms of contemplation. In his name, and for the perpetuation of his Imperium, we strive ever forward. May his light forever guide us through the enveloping darkness.